All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this is going to be episode 5 in our series on placing the R. Kelly accusers on the witness stand to determine exactly what the content of many of their testimonies actually is, as opposed to the false narratives that have been propagated by the mainstream liberal media about R. Kelly and this overall dynamic between himself and his fangirls, aka his groupies. Once again, am I absolving R. Kelly of any culpability when it comes to his conduct and his intentions? Absolutely not. But what I am doing is I'm placing, in my view, appropriate culpability on the females who are involved or who were involved with R. Kelly to help many of you brothers understand what the potentials can be when you choose to indulge in many of these frivolous relationships with these broads out here. And that's the most important thing. What we can learn from the R. Kelly situation. So anyway, we're up to Miss Jerhonda Pace. And this person here is very pivotal. Because, brothers, let me say this. We might not be able to ascertain what the previous 4 females were about. But it's not too difficult to ascertain what Miss Jerhonda Pace is about. Because she's a known prostitute in the Chicago area. She's also an actress. And she's going to reveal throughout her testimony, her quote-unquote testimony here, that beyond a shadow of a doubt, her intention was to trap R. Kelly or to catch him in something, which she ultimately did. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
My name is Jerhonda Pace. I'm from Chicago. When I started going to Robert's trial, I was 14 years old. I was a freshman in high school. My mom, she was like that working single mom, so it was very easy for me to skip school and go to his trial and have my mom not even see it or have a clue that I was doing it.
Of course, because you knew that he liked young girls. You happened to be a young girl and you were hoping that you could be another notch on his headboard. And certain brothers out there might be wondering, why are you saying that she's a known prostitute? Well, that's because she admitted it herself in a talk show. I believe in a previous video that I did, I said that she was on the Steve Wilkos show. No, that's not the show that she was on. She was actually on a show called The Bill Cunningham Show, Season 1, Episode 151. It's her and her sister on the show, and her sister is chastising her for being a prostitute and telling her that I'm going to take my niece from you, because this person, Jerhonda Pace, has a child, or at least had a child at that point. She might have more than one now. Point being is this: it's very obvious that she had an agenda when she was waiting outside of that courtroom for R. Kelly.
I went to his trial because I was a super fan at the time, and the fact that it was a trial that was open to the public, I was excited to go.
You made sure that you passed him, or that he passed you as you waited outside the courthouse for him. You knew what time it was. Brothers, it's so dangerous, man. It really is. It's so dangerous allowing anybody into your life, into your orbit. Not even just a woman, anybody, but especially these modern day liberal females. Make sure that you're very vigilant in how you conduct yourself with people in general, especially the woman.
I got the chance to engage in conversations with him. So I would just say, hey, good morning. He would speak back, and I would tell him, keep his head up. The same thing that I would say outside of the courthouse, and he would always thank me for my support. I went to his trial because I was a super fan at the time.
You mean a super groupie and a burgeoning prostitute?
I didn't believe he was guilty, and I didn't want to believe that he was guilty.
So you decided to prove that he was guilty by trying to seduce him, even though you were underage?
I was a freshman in high school.
You were a freshman. You also fresh as hell.
He was old for me to like him, but I fell in love with his music.
Once again, R. Kelly's proverbial Orpheus. It's very easy for females to become enamored with him because of the image that he portrays through his music.
After Robert's trial, his friend sent me a message and invited me to R. Kelly's party. And in the middle of me texting him back, Rob, he actually called my phone. And he was telling me, he said, I remember you. And I said, well, what do you remember me from? He said, you came to my trial. Thank you for your support. I was shocked. I felt like I was on top of the world.
You felt like you was on top of the world, and you were focused on being on top of him.
When Rob invited me to his house, I was 16 years old. I was excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so unreal. I didn't tell anyone I was going to his house. It was like...
Why not? Didn't you say that your mother was a working mom? Shouldn't you have told her, hey, I'm going to stop over at R. Kelly's house? Since I would assume that she's a concerned parent, isn't she? Why would you decide that you're going to sneak out the house and go see R. Kelly? Makes no sense unless the overall plan was that you were going to try to seduce him into sleeping with you.
It was like...
Once again, brothers, as I've already stated, the modern day female, the woman in general, is infatuated with the thrill ride aspect of her relationship. That's why so many of these females have been with so many men, because they believe that a relationship is about fun and how exciting it is. And that's not really what relationships were set up for, or what their purpose is.
Like a little secret. He was getting ready for a pre-listen party for his album Untitled. We were just talking back and forth, and he talked about being molested as well. He told me he was molested by an older guy in his neighborhood.
Wow, so listen to that. This person, Jerhonda, is stating that R. Kelly told her that he was molested by an older man in his neighborhood. So far, R. Kelly was molested by his older sister, other family members, and an older person in his neighborhood. Now, is the older guy in his neighborhood that he's referring to one of the people in his family, or was it a separate person, or is it someone that he's trying to still protect? Maybe he did not want to be fully transparent with Jerhonda, or maybe he was being too transparent with her, especially if she divulged to him that she was molested as well. Molestation is a major issue, and that's why I always try to harp on brothers protecting their seed, because a child is like a young plant. If it does not receive the proper amount of light and water, it's not going to grow properly. So we see why R. Kelly has the issues that he has. And that's why I've stated that, in my view, R. Kelly may have been prepped from his childhood to become a celebrity or a star. And yes, I do believe that his music teacher at that high school, Kenwood, Lena McClin, may have done some things with him as well, allegedly. Just my perspective, just my opinion on it.
And one of the females that used to watch him was sexually abusing him as well. And I feel like we had a connection, because I told him I was sexually abused when I was 4, when I was 6, and when I was 8 years old.
Well, that admission makes sense, because it links up with the understanding of why you felt compelled to become a prostitute. Because you've been expressing yourself sexually since you were a small child. Now you're overly comfortable with expressing yourself sexually. And you'll find that many hypersexual people were molested as children. And it manifests in adulthood in pansexuality, bisexuality, homosexuality, lesbianism, or maybe even sometimes asexuality, because they feel so dirty about what they were subjected to as a child. And let me also say this. This notion that R. Kelly was molested by an older man in his neighborhood would provide some insight on an admission that was made by Lisa Van Allen, where she stated, and it was not in this docuseries, it was somewhere else, where Lisa Van Allen stated that R. Kelly, during their orgies, liked to have her penetrate him up his anus. As I tell you, brothers, all of these top shelf entertainers are pansexuals. They go both ways, just like the god of the entertainment industry, the Bacchus.
I felt like, wow, so I'm not the only one. I'm not alone with the whole sexual abuse thing.
You're definitely not alone, because about 99.9% of the people in the entertainment industry have been molested.
And I felt like Rob confided in me.
So he confided in you, and you returned the favor by exposing him on national television that he was molested by numerous people, not just family members, but also strangers. Good job.
And I felt like I was confiding in him as well.
You feel like you were confiding in him as well. Did R. Kelly get on television and decide to divulge that you were molested at the ages of 4, 6, and 8? Once again, brothers, be very careful what you tell people. There's an old saying, when your friends become your foes, out the window your story goes.
At Rob's mansion, he had a jungle-themed pool, and he actually called it the safari pool. And they had a nice slide. And
So he called it a safari pool. Why he call it that? Did he send you out in front of him and say he gonna hunt you down?
And the water changed colors. It was blue, green, purple. He told me to go into the bathroom and to change into my swimsuit. And when I came back out, I was just waiting by the pool. And when he showed up, he sat down and he told me to get up and start walking for him, as if you're modeling. So I walked back and forth. It was back and forth, back and forth. And he said, okay.
Was that what he was singing? Or did he tell you to sing that song? He said, girl, I want you to spray whipped cream on top of your head and put 2 drops of honey on each nipple and walk up and down my pool and sing like Aaliyah, back and forth.
So, okay, now when you walk up, I want you to remove a piece of your swimsuit.
She probably was like, what piece of my swimsuit do you want me to remove first, Rob? And he said, don't worry about it, girl. It's a tearaway swimsuit. It's flavored, too. Your drawers taste like turkey bacon, and your bra set tastes like fried eggs. You about to be my breakfast.
And I looked at him, and I said, you want me to take my swimsuit off? He said, yes. He told me not to ask questions, just to do it. So I said, okay, well, this is R.Kelly, and he told me to take my swimsuit off, so that's what I'm going to do. So I walked back and forth, and then I removed my top, and he told me to remove my bottoms. And he grabbed me, and then we started kissing. And he started fondling my breast. And
I tell you, these people are something else, man. Imagine R.Kelly. She probably took off her bra top. He said, dang, girl, why your breasts are so big for? Looking like you passed puberty already. That's a turn off.
And I stopped him, and I said, I'm a virgin. And
virgin what? Virgin olive oil? Knock it off.
And he said, well, that's perfect. That means I get to train you, and I get to take your virginity. And that's when he proceeded to do oral sex on me. And he told me to do the same thing on him, just oral sex. Right after, Rob asked me my age, and that's when I didn't tell him my age. I handed him my ID, and he looked at it, and that's when then I said, I'm 16. And he told me, okay, what is that supposed to mean? He said to continue telling everybody that you were 19 and to act 21.
So in other words, you lied about your age from the very start. So why should anyone take your testimony seriously? And if this docuseries was something that was meant to be taken seriously, they should not have included you in it, because as you've already stated, you lied about your age. But then again, all you females who contributed to the making of this documentary have a very shady past and a very low-level personality.
I'm sitting on the bed and I'm just waiting for Rob. He came in and he told me that it was time for him to take my virginity. We just had sex, with me bent over on the couch, and I told him it was a bit uncomfortable.
R.Kelly was like, it's uncomfortable. Good. That's the best way. Hit it hard from the back. Roll it around in the front. Oh, shit.
Well, but I just went with it. I was like, okay, whatever. It was painful. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's the way it's supposed to be.
Stop acting like that man took your virginity. Please knock it off.
It wasn't extravagant. I wasn't like, oh, I lost my virginity. Like, this was so good. It was just, I guess I just lost my virginity.
You wasn't sure? I bet you R.Kelly was sure. R.Kelly, I tell you, man. R.Kelly probably done took more virgins than a damn group of Vikings. That man R.Kelly like, this is not no damn virgin coochie. There's no hymen here. There's supposed to be a hymen here. I'm supposed to pop it. Nothing here. You're lying to me.
When I had went to Rob's house, I always felt like the chosen one. But then, after being there for a while, I started seeing other girls around the house.
Hey, brothers, are we starting to see a theme here? The quote-unquote relationships always start to go downhill, not because of the treatment, but it's because the female starts to realize that they're not the only one. That's truly what upsets them, is the envy.
House. I'm in this room, I'm sitting on the bed, and I'm just waiting for Rob to give the next order, pretty much. When he opened the door, he walked in, and he saw me on my phone. And that's when he explained that I can't be on my cell phone. That started the rules. I had to give him an update about everything. Like, if I was about to brush my teeth, I had to let Rob know. If I wanted to take a shower, he had to know. And then when guys came around, I had to put my head down, or I had to turn and face a wall.
Well, once again, once he gave you those rules and you maintained the rapport, the relationship that you had, that meant that you tacitly agreed to the rules. And I have no problem with R. Kelly making sure that in a mansion that he owns, that he knows exactly what people are doing in his house. You have no idea why people are in your house. They could be in your house to do you well. They could be in your house to do you harm. When you're a celebrity, strange people going into your damn bathroom, you have no idea what they're doing. They could be planting drugs. They could be planting a gun in your bathroom, trying to set you up.
When you disobey him or you question him, that's considered breaking the rules.
So take your ass home.
Perfect example. There was one time Rob and I was talking about basketball. He likes the Chicago Bulls. And I said, I like the Cavaliers. And he said, no, you like the Bulls. I was like, I don't like the Bulls. And that was a problem. Rob slapped me in my face.
He said, bitch, this ain't first take. I'm not here to argue with your ass. When I say you like the Bulls, you like the Bulls.
And he told me, well, guess what? You're not eating. And I said, okay, this is a joke. I thought he was just playing around.
No, he wasn't playing. He's not there to argue with you about basketball.
The no-eat list is somebody who, quote unquote, disobeys dad. That's when he decided to starve you.
Oh, well, I'm sure that you had enough strength to make your way back to the bus stop and take your ass home. You said that you had a working mother, right? I'm sure that you had a very full refrigerator at your house.
The longest I've gone without food at his house was 3 days.
You mean the longest that you personally decided to fast was 3 days? Because he was not making sure that you had no way out of his house.
I was surviving off water and some peanuts that I had.
Were they salted or unsalted?
I started to believe that I was nothing without Rob. I started to believe that Rob was everything.
Well, the fact of the matter is that, in all reality, you thought that you were already nothing before you met him. He saw the dearth of spirit that you had and knew that he could step in and assume a leadership position in your life. That's why he had you call him daddy and you agreed so quickly and things of that nature. So it wasn't a matter of you believing that you could not live without him. You were not trying to live even before you met him. And that's why you sought him out so badly. Because you wanted somebody who could inspire you. He saw that and he took advantage.
And he became everything for me.
In other words, he became your God. I have news for you. He was your God before you met him. That's why you sought him out. That's why the scriptures tell you, seek and you shall find. You sought out your false God, you found him, and he did to you what false gods always do. They seek to destroy you. False gods never seek to empower you. They seek to tear you down and destroy you.
I was with R.Kelly for 6 months when I was 16 years old.
You sure you were 16? You've been lying about your age for this entire documentary.
I didn't see my friend Dominique in the house, but I knew Dominique was there because me and her used to always try to meet up in the house, and it never worked out.
That's the exact reason why R. Kelly established the protocols that he established regarding any female in his home having to ask him permission to use the bathroom or move around, because he knew that if he did not do that, mischief was going to ensue.
Rob always kept us separated. I would be isolated. I felt like a prisoner. It's like I didn't have anyone to talk to.
So you didn't feel like a prisoner because you couldn't leave. You felt like a prisoner because it wasn't fun anymore.
It was just me. I went into a depression. I was mentally drained.
It's difficult to be mentally drained when you don't have much of a brain.
Because he would break me down, then build me up, then make me feel like again and do it all over again. So he would really manipulate my mind.
Not much manipulation needed.
breaking point for me was when Rob slapped me and he choked me into.
Were you guys arguing about basketball again?
Me into a blacked out. He was about 6 feet tall, and I'm only 5'1.5". And he lifted me up, and I was like eye level with him.
Damn, the man lift you up until you were eye level. What was he doing? Asking you for the blueprints for the Death Star? I mean, shit, sounds like some Darth Vader shit.
And then I remember just blacking out, and I hit the floor. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. And
how you know you hit the floor if you was blacked out?
And that's why I had to walk away.
Okay. So him slapping you over basketball and not letting you use his bathroom, him starving you where you had to eat all your Planters peanuts and your little $1 water bottle, that didn't affect you. That didn't make you want to go back home. When he picked you up like he was Darth Vader, that's what made you say, you know what, it's time for me to leave. Okay, I got you.
After that incident happened between us, I powered my phone off and I left and I never looked back.
Why'd you have to mention that you powered your phone off for? Why the hell was it on in the first place if, according to him, he did not want you using your phone while you were there? It's very strange. Now, of course, you brothers cannot see this on your screen, but it states in the documentary at this point, Jerhonda turned over all evidence of abuse, including her diary, to the Illinois Bureau of Investigation. You know what that sounds like to me, brothers? That sounds like Jerhonda was working with the feds from the very beginning. That's what it sounds like.
R.Kelly's victims, nobody just cares about the black women that speak out. Especially the black community. It's the black community that bashes the black women that speak out about abuse.
No, what the real issue is, once again, and I hope that you brothers notice how she attempted to insert that black female as victim paradigm once again, that buzz term. That's very important because that's really what this is about. And I mentioned this from the very start of the quote-unquote Me Too movement. And this is really going back to Ray Rice. They want the so-called black man to be the face of domestic violence. So how do we adapt to that? We adapt to that by making sure that we utilize great scruples when we decide to cohabit with a woman, to be serious with her, to inseminate and procreate with her. We have to utilize far greater scruples because there has been a code red declared on the so-called black man when it comes to the domestic violence issue. There's always been a code red declared on the so-called black man since we've been in this captivity. But particularly with the rise of this modern post-feminist mentality known as the Me Too movement, they're trying to use the so-called black man as basically as a stepping stone to achieve their ends. And what the super feminists or what the super liberal feminists is trying to achieve is a takeover of the Western civilization. But they're pretty much doing it like how a low-level boxer is matched right by his manager or his matchmaker to make him think that he's stronger or a better fighter than he actually is. The modern liberal female is being utilized as a pawn, and they don't understand that because they're two-dimensional thinkers. But once again, this person, Jerhonda Pace, who was a prostitute at one point and who I believe was sent to R.Kelly by the feds, I have very little doubt about that. I think that she's trying to now insert that black male versus black female dynamic and force everyone to acquiesce to the notion that the black female has been the recipient of a great deal of ire that she does not deserve, and that so many of her claims are not believed, when it's actually the opposite. The black woman has always been believed by the police force, by the judicial system. And yes, people are going to be skeptical when females claim that R. Kelly has done things to them and there's no proof. Where are your photos? You claim that you were choked around the neck and lifted up off the ground, that you were smacked repeatedly. Where are the photos proving that you were the recipient of domestic abuse? R.Kelly, where are your photos? Lisa Van Allen, her story's all over the place. She seemed to be just trying to slip and slide away from the notion that she was involved in the molestation of that young girl as well. So it's not so much that the so-called black community does not believe black women, quote unquote. It's actually the opposite. The so-called black community is ran on a matriarchy. It's one of the main reasons why we're at the bottom right now. That matriarchy bullshit has to be destroyed. But brothers, that will basically end episode 5 of this series. Once again, make sure that you walk circumspectly, just in life in general, but especially when you deal with many of these females. So peace. Okay, so now brothers, I just want to present this very short snippet that one of the accusers of R. Kelly, Miss Jerhonda Pace, made on the Bill Cunningham show. We're going to get a chance to see her true character, how she actually is. One thing that we always must remember is that the essential nature of the liberal female is to be an actress. Okay? Always remember that, brothers. The liberal woman in general is an actress. She has no idea how she actually feels because she spends so much time putting on an act and searching after new energies to escape her incessant boredom that after a while she does not even know who she is. Well, this appearance on the Bill Cunningham show is going to give us some insight into who Jerhonda Pace actually is. And not only in my view is she an actress, it would not surprise me at all if she also or was also some type of undercover operative sent in to get some damning or incriminating evidence on R. Kelly. So let's see what happens here.
I'm on the Bill Cunningham show.
What are you doing?
I'm doing what I have to do.
A sister and her secret life.
If you don't stop today, I'm gonna take my little niece and I'm gonna wash my hands to you. That's it and that's all.
So as we can see, Jerhonda Pace was hooking. She was out there spreading them coochie lips for everyone who wanted some. Once again, I have very little doubt that R. Kelly has a sexual degenerate disorder, something along those lines. It's very clear that the brother has mental, psychological, and spiritual problems. But there are two negatives in this situation. Both R. Kelly, playing proverbial Orpheus or Bacchus, and his maenads, meaning his idolaters, the females who will do anything to be associated with him because they're turned on by his energy. And those type of relationships are never going to be anything productive. I believe that the gigantic witch coven known as the entertainment industry has decided to pull the plug on R. Kelly's tenure, being so prominent in the entertainment industry, because once again, he's always been a symbol of masculinity, of untamed lust, especially towards females. And they've made the decision to move towards the overt veneration of the mother goddess. And his archetype just does not fit into the record industry anymore, or at least they don't want it to fit anymore. So peace.